I've been looking for ways to smarten up my outdoor life, much like I've done with my indoor life. If you're a bird lover and like to keep track of birds and what they're doing around your house, this could be a game changer for you. Hello, I'm Wanderer001, and this is my review of the Bird Buddy Smart Bird Feeder. In this video, I will be covering the bird feeder itself, the brains behind the operation, the accessory of solar panel roof right there, and the accompanying app for the Bird Buddy. So let's get into it. To start, let's go over the overall construction and dimensions of the bird feeder itself. You are looking at 9 inches height, 6.3 inches in width, and a depth of 6.89 inches, as you can see, because it sticks out a little bit right there. You have a seed capacity of 3.8 cups and an overall weight of 1.32 pounds. And that is all empty. If you have it full, it will weigh up to 2.54 pounds, again, depending on how much feed you put in here. The construction of it overall is recycled plastic, BPA free, and that's the off the specs reading from the website. Let's talk about the feeder itself actually now. So I mentioned that you have the ability to fill this up with birdseed with up to 3.8 cups. Now, the design of this has a see-through front and a see-through back, so that if you happen to have this, depending on where you place it, you'll always be able to see how much feed you have in there. So you fill it up through the back. It has a nice little trap door right here, and you'll notice it has these side scoops right there. Well, that's because as you are filling it, you can kind of tilt this up so that you can get the full amount. Because you notice if this door is down, you lose a lot of space right here, as well as this wire right here, which we'll talk about momentarily. But that is a nice little touch right there, and then you can see just how much feed you have in there. Coming back to the front, you also see it's completely clear. It has a little chute down here for the food to slip out of, and it sits in this tray right here. You can see there are holes in there to allow water or snow to kind of work its way through there. There is a landing zone or landing strip right here for any birds that want to sit there. I found some birds sit there, but the majority of them sit right in the food itself. Taking a look at the side right there, you can see nothing really going on. A lot of the materials here just kind of snap into place. You can see right there, I'm flexing the front visible side of this, and then on the back, I can do kind of the same thing. If we look underneath the bird feeder, you can see there actually is a spot for mounting, and then you have several different types of mounts, so you have different types of screws. And then you can see all the drainage right there. If I come back up to the top, well, it's a little tricky to show you what this looks like, but this is a accessory, which is the solar roof. I got this to help keep the actual brains of the operation fully charged. I was a little disappointed that it was not a double-sided roof with the solar panel, and the kind of janky feeling way that this kind of just snakes in here and plugs into the top of the camera, because this is exposed to all of the feed because you have wire going into the camera. But the solar panel is an accessory that you can get. It does not come with the Bird Buddy by default. Realistically, I am going to suggest if you're interested in this, this is a must-have. Now we could talk about the brains of the operation, which is right here. This is detachable, and if you don't have it plugged in, it will come right out. There is a magnet right there in the feeder itself, and on the back here there also is an optional screw mount right there, but I didn't bother doing that. So let's talk about the module for the Bird Buddy itself. You have 5.1 inches high with a width of 2 inches and a depth of 1.5 inches. The camera on the Bird Buddy module is a 5 megapixel photo and a 720p HD video. They say live stream, but I found on the Android app, which we'll be discussing a little later, you don't really get the option for a live feed. The field of view on this camera lens is 120 degrees, and it has a dual action motion and accelerometer, meaning the camera will wait and see if it feels motion, as well as there is a little, which you can't really see, there's a little laser that kind of lets it know, hey, there's a heat signature in front of me, you should probably start doing something. At the top there, that is for pairing and resetting. You simply hold that in, and we're going to flip that around to show you the back here. Realistically, there is your contact point. That's letting the Bird Buddy know once it's in the birdhouse itself, which I do appreciate. This kind of helps it put it into a power saver mode. And really, that's it, aside from a USB cable on the top. Now, the module itself here is the brains behind the operation. This is what's going to attach to the application and let the Bird Buddy identify up to 1,000 birds. Currently, again, that could change in the future as they update their database. But because this is a smart device, that means that there is a setup process for the Bird Buddy. So let's take a look at what the setup was like for this. This will be setting up your Bird Buddy smart bird feeder. First, you're going to have to download the BirdBuddy app and create an account, and then you'll have your BirdBuddy feeder and your app open. And here we can see pair your feeder. I select that to walk you through your setup guide. So let's rock and roll. All right, so it wants us to fully charge the feeder first. I'm going to attempt to do this. It might be a little difficult to see right there, but it is actually blinking blue. So that's indicating that it is probably ready for pairing. So let's go there. So once fully charged, please disconnect, and we'll say it's unplugged. And here is the automatic name for it. It's just going to call it Wanderer 001 BirdBuddy. We'll hit next, and it wants a location. We're going to see if we can do that without actually knowing your approximate location. All right, so we're gonna do this off camera really quick. Going to select next again. I will state that the one that it was showing was not actually where I was, so I don't know where it pulled that from. Okay, so it's time to connect. Let's go online. So it's gonna walk us through. It's gonna say, show me how. We have to enable Bluetooth. Bluetooth is already on, so we're gonna say allow. And then it's searching for the camera module, which is why that was blinking blue. And then it's showing me a pairing request, so I can pair and connect. It wants to allow access to contacts and call history. We're gonna say nope, and just select pair. All right, so it paired the two. Now it wants to have it get access to the Wi-Fi network. We're going to throw this on my IoT network. By default, it did show the text, but it does have the ability to hide that, which I do appreciate. We're going to select next, and it's all right. So that error was on me. I mistyped my password, but it is spinning right there. You get this to access the network, and connecting to, it says it can take up to 5 minutes and does have a countdown timer. It is flashing, or did flash. I saw green in there. Not sure if you saw that, but it does say do not leave this screen while it is setting up. I'm not going to make you sit through that, so we'll probably edit that portion out, but I will keep this up in the video for myself later. Camera module is now flashing red, and it's showing green, or showed green, flashing red again. Really think it's going to take the full 5 minutes. Oh, wait, here we go. Just shy of being the full 5 minutes. It says hooray, BirdBuddy has been added to the account. Flashing stopped. We're gonna hit next, and now it's checking for, all right, I'm gonna turn on notifications for now and go back. So it's showing the Wi-Fi strength, status, and battery, and it's going to update the firmware. And again, it does not want us to move around or press any buttons on the camera module while the firmware is updating. I will say I'm setting this up, and I have the solar roof, and I kind of left this outside for a couple days to charge up. So that's the battery's at 79%. You probably should fully charge before going through the actual setup process, or if you've got the solar roof like I did and are patient and leave it outside for a couple days, you'll probably be okay. However, the fact that the firmware update taking possibly 30 minutes is a little disconcerting, but we're going to wait and see how long that actually takes. I do kind of appreciate that besides warning you not to mess with anything while it's doing it, it does throw in some bird facts there, so that's kind of nice. All right, so it did not take the full 30 minutes, but it did take a good 20 minutes. So firmware complete, ready to go. We're gonna select next, and it's time to pick the perfect spot. You can show some tips, which I'm gonna do really quickly. So you wanna make sure it's in range of your Wi-Fi, avoid open and noisy areas. That's more for our bird friends. Orientation of the camera, so it won't be blinded by sunrise or sunset. So it's showing that it should be about southeast for placement, and then place at eye level or slightly higher as long as you can reach it, so you can charge it if you don't have the charging solar panel. And we're going to say I'm ready, and right now it's checking the Wi-Fi signal. So my signal strength right here should be good, but I do know where I'm placing this, it will also be good. I can select check again. I'm hoping that you can check the Wi-Fi signal again later, but we're gonna select next, and it's giving you a mindful privacy notice because that is a camera and it is meant to pick up birds, but I have a feeling that it can pick up other things as well. So it's saying, hey, make sure you're being aware of your neighbor's privacy. I'm going to select I understand, and hooray, you're good to go. So I'm gonna select begin the adventure. All right, so it's letting me know there's nothing to see there yet, and that's our activity feed, and then we will go through the rest of this later. But right now, that's setup of the BirdBuddy bird feeder. As you saw, interesting setup process, not one that I've done before like this. So just know persistence is key. Coming back to the BirdBuddy module itself, this is a battery powered device, which means there is a 4,000 milliamp battery in here, which if you need to charge it, will take about 3 hours. We will talk about actual runtime usage a little later in the video. Together, The Bird Buddy and camera module are weather resistant to -5 up to 120 degrees. And as you might imagine, because it's a birdhouse, it helps keep the rain from getting on this. I have had this for several months and have been able to test it in temperatures as low as 12 degrees and up to currently about 68 degrees, and it's handled just fine. Some things that you get with the Bird Buddy itself is pretty much for mounting. You get this obscenely long string that you'll have to tie off, and it slips into the back utilizing the same hole that the wire is going through. So that's kind of a design flaw in my opinion. I wish they would have done something better with that, but hey, free mounting option right there. Speaking of other free mounting options that you don't have to pay for, here is your mount right there. You have some screws. This is for a pole. You could stick that on the bottom of your thing. Here we have a hex key and a little screw. This goes into the back of the Bird Buddy module if you want to help keep that in place. You also get a charging cable, which is floating around downstairs at the moment. With that, you also have a USB 3 to USB-C charger, so that if you don't actually have a place to plug in a USB-C or USB, you have something that can do that. And then this right here, this is the top of the Bird Buddy on the inside. Because I have the solar roof, that means right here, where the Bird Buddy sits and the cable passes through, you have to poke that out. So don't drive yourself nuts like I did. Just poke it out. It'll be fine. And just hold on to it should you not want to use the solar roof anymore. Last thing that I forgot to mention, actually a bird scoop. I like this only because if you see the way that it's shaped, and we take our Bird Buddy here, and I talked about these side panels right here. Well, if you want to fill this all the way up, notice it fits very nicely doing that. And you got some Bird Buddy branding right there. So you will take about 2.5 of these to fully fill this up. The Bird Buddy Brains has a Wi-Fi connectivity of 2.4 gigahertz. So that will give you longer range, but not super fast data. And the Wi-Fi antenna in this is mediocre at best. You're really gonna have to have this fairly close to your home and Wi-Fi access point to really be able to utilize this. The main reason you're getting this is for the bird identification and the application which this all talks to. So why don't we take a look at the application for the Bird Buddy. This is the application for the Bird Buddy Smart Bird Feeder. Right here you can see this is the landing page that we come into. However, if you see this icon right there, that is a little bird. If we swipe that down, we have two different sets of notification. Here we have, you've had some visitors while you were away and we spotted them. Or you've got this one up here. It's been busy at your feeder. See who's here. Tap on either of those will bring you into the Bird Buddy app and land you on this page right here. Now I have left these icons up because, well, these are indications that you have had birds at your feeder. Now, I've let this go for a couple days now to kind of show you just how cluttered this area can get. But what we're going to do is I'm going to open up a couple of these, kind of give you an idea of what the animation looks like and what you can expect to see when you get told, hey, there was a bird at your feeder. So we're going to open this one up right here. You get a little animation. You get a look who we caught. Total number of sightings, gives you an estimate as to what the bird actually is. In this case, it is a common grackle. And then I can select collect or more options. In this case, for this bird, I'm going to select collect. What that will do is then bring me into a myriad of pictures that this took, or they're called postcards. So I can either say, this is a common grackle because it's not sure, the AI is not sure that this is a common grackle, or it gives me a listing of, hey, it might be some of these other birds based on what we think. I can also come all the way down here to the bottom and say none of the above, and then I can search for what I think the bird is, or I can ask a Bird Buddy expert as to what this bird is, and then generally you'll get a turnaround between 2 to 3 days. I can also select to save this visitor as a mystery visitor, meaning they'll add them to a mystery collection, or I can ignore this visitor. And there are times that you're probably going to want to ignore visitors. Like if you get sparrows all the time and you've collected hundreds of them, maybe you don't want to this time. In my case, I'm going to say, yes, this is a common grackle and add to collection. Here we have a video that is taken of my common grackle. I can select yes and save this video, or I can select no thanks. I'm going to select save. From here, it's going to show me those images or stills, and I'll have to swipe left or right to save, save. Nice one. All right, that's kind of a duplicate. I swipe that way, it doesn't get saved. That one, he's mean mugging me. And there we go. Now I've collated my collection of birds. Now I have a choice. Do I share this with the community and save, or do I share privately? Well, with my common grackle, I'm going to select share with my community. And then it brings me to the next tab over. I'm going to come back to my main tab with all of my birds, and we're going to do another one. But here we have a common grackle again. So I'm going to select down here, more options. This will bring me to that collating page that I was talking about before. In this case, I'm going to say, ignore this visitor. And this is what happens. It's going to let you know, hey, this is going to be ignored. And then it's kind of like, hey, they all can't be supermodels. And I'm going to select continue. Now, none of those grackle pictures that were wrapped up in there will be added to either my private collection or the public collection. The one problem with this, and I found the Bird Buddy tends to do, is it will group birds together. The grackles were very busy, but if there were other birds in here, so if I hit collect, maybe there was another bird. There's a video, I can say save or no thanks. In this case, I'm going to say no thanks to the video this time. Swipe grackle, and there we go. And this time I'll save privately. So these will not be added to a community page that other people can see. This time we'll hear a noise because I turned the sound on. Drum roll, boom, here we go. House sparrow. I say collect, you hear it. Sound. Here's a video of the house sparrow. I'm going to say no thanks. I got lots of videos of them. No, it's not a great picture, so go that way. Got a lot of pictures of them. Oh, I didn't save any pictures this time. So I can say, let's have another look. Go back and grab pictures if I want to use them. Or I say, no thanks, delete this batch. Drum roll, and you're done. So hit continue, and that goes away. Here's the last picture that I have saved, so we're just going to open that up. Why not? Drum roll. Here's a North American cardinal. I'm going to select collect this image. Here's a nice video of it. I know this is a common one that hangs out around here because it's missing a little portion of its foot there. And that's something you'll get with Bird Buddy. You'll kind of get used to the birds that are around you. And this is a great way to keep track of them. So I will save that to my community and come back one more time to the front of the page, because here, if you send a bird off to be identified. I knew who this was, but I sent it to be identified to see how quickly it would turn around. Well, once it's identified, you get this notification right here saying mystery is solved, and I select reveal my visitor, and it lets me know this was a North American cardinal. And I will collect, and I can share or save privately. I will save privately, and there we go. So that's everything that we can do on this main page. The main page, once you've sorted through everything, will be a timeline of all the birds that have visited. If I come to this middle tab here, this is our collections. This is going to be the collection of birds that the camera has seen. You can sort by either bird or time of visit, and you can see all the birds that have come to my feeder. You'll also have indications of new, when a new bird has been spotted. And we're going to come down and pick, scrolling down, here's a collation of my mystery visitors. So if I tap on that, it will open up, hey, these are things that I wasn't sure about. Or here it was 2 birds in one, so the camera wasn't sure what to identify as, and then kind of gives you stats. Coming back, I'm going to pick this guy right here. This is a ruby crown kinglet, at least I hope, because the AI is a little off depending on lighting and how the bird actually poses itself. So right here, we've got the picture that my camera took. Scrolling down, you can see there is a gallery for this, but if we come down here, you have more information about this bird. You have, hey, it's an expert songster. Clicking this gives you a little more information. Hey, it's also a loudmouth, more information, and a daredevil, more information. And it gives extra stuff here, number of visits, favorite foods, some other general information, and then do you want to hear this bird? Now, if we come back up to the top and select gallery, I will have the ability to look at my gallery for this particular bird. And here you can see it's 2 different birds, because you can see right there, it kind of looks like a different bird than this was. And that's because the AI is not 100% all the time, but this will show you my gallery. And from here, I can select information about this bird, or I can select share and then share this however I like. Now I'm going to select back, and then notice at the top, I can select community. Now the community will show you all the other people who have shared their picture of this bird. And the community is a nice feature, but you can kind of see, hey, this actually looks like the bird, a ruby crowned kinglet. Mine, not so much, unless that's the female version. I don't know. I'm not as familiar with bird watching. That's why you get this. So just know, as long as you're okay with identifications being a little off, and if you come into the community gallery, there might be a mixture of birds in there, depending on if people said, no, that's not the right bird. So hypothetically, if I come here to this chickadee and go to the gallery, well, for the most part, I know these are a chickadee, but if I come over to the community, well, maybe there's a couple other birds in here that aren't chickadees, and this probably wasn't a great example because it looks like all of them are, but you get the idea. Community, good feature, but might have a mix of actual birds. Scrolling down, just to give you an idea, little things about information, just so you see they're different for each bird, as well as visits do go up, their favorite foods, how big they are. And then for this one, you have songs and calls, and you can find me here. It lets you know the region that you can find it, and then all the way down here, a gallery for that bird. So that's what you can do here under the collections tab. Coming over to the right, we have our settings. This is going to be the settings for your particular bird buddy. You can tap on that to change your name, email, or password. Here we have information about my particular bird buddy. It is currently ready for birds, meaning it's not at night and gone to sleep, and I have 95% battery. If you have the solar roof, you'll see a little charging symbol around that when it's actively charging. It's going to show me the name of the bird buddy up at the top. It's going to show me the signal strength of the Wi-Fi, the battery percent, and then what I'm covering up is the actual location. Moving that out of the way, we actually have the ability to test a live stream. So if we're setting this up, we simply tap on that and realize it might take a little bit of time for this to wake up the camera on the other end, because it does stay in sleep mode most of the time to preserve battery. And we'll just let that run really quick. And right here, this is a live view from my feeder. This is on Android, so iOS might look a little different and allow you to do different features. From here at the top, we can close our live stream. You can see that it says, hey, while you're doing this live view, postcards aren't available, and then we can close from here. So I'm going to close the live stream. I'm going to close the live stream. We have the option to go off grid, meaning that it turns off the Wi-Fi module and just becomes a, hey, take pictures. Selecting go off grid, as you can see here, kind of puts it on break. It will not send out any postcards. So make sure, unless you're going away for a long period of time and can't refill or change the battery, that you don't mess with that. You have the ability to add a member. So if somebody else, bird buddy account, you can share your individual feeder. You tap on that, a unique code is generated, and then you can share that with somebody else. Here you have your serial number, and then check for updates. And that was all under our bird buddy up there. Here we have add a bird buddy. So if this is your first time adding a bird buddy to your account, this is how you would do that. You have account settings right here, which will allow you to change your password or username. Application settings, turn on and off your sound, turn on and off the watermark, and then what language do you want, as well as notifications. I personally keep the app sound off because the drum roll, while impressive the first time, gets a little redundant, especially if you have to go through a lot of different images. Selecting back, we have help and support, assembly instructions, privacy policies, and terms of use. All the way down at the bottom, we have buy a bird buddy if you want to buy more, and then log out. And realistically, that is everything that you can do with the Bird Buddy app for the Bird Buddy Smart Bird Feeder. There you saw, there's a lot of cool things that you can do with this, even with the identification and some of the things that could be tweaked a little better in the future. You did see that I talked about the firmware upgradability of the Bird Buddy. I'm going to say it could use some work. This device has one of the longest updates that I've ever had, and I've done this 3 times so far for updating this. I really wish that it was faster, but just know, if you're updating the firmware in this device, even if you've got great internet, you could still expect 30 minutes before this will update itself. But looking at the bird feeder itself, talking about the camera module, and seeing how the application handles notifying you about birds and other visitors means absolutely nothing, because, well, you want to know, what do the actual photos and videos from this device look like? So let's take a look at that now. hopefully you enjoyed that little smattering of localized birds that I have. Perhaps you've never seen them before. I see them every day. That's the point of this. That's the reason the BirdBuddy apps community can be a really good feature as long as people and the camera are identifying correct birds. So let's start with that as one of the bad things about this. 1, it doesn't always identify the bird correctly. 2, if people put those misidentified birds into the community area, then everybody sees a misidentified bird. Another thing that I haven't particularly cared for is the limited amount of feed space that you have in there. For the size of this, I expected more bird seed to actually end up in here. Another thing, which I addressed before, was the limited Wi-Fi range. And I understand based on the size of the camera module and Brid's behind the operation that they could not fit large Wi-Fi antennas in here, but if this is a bird feeder and supposed to be outside and far enough away from your home to attract birds, I would have thought maybe they would have had stronger antennas in here. I've got a fairly robust Wi-Fi system, review over there if you're interested, and this, even sitting on my deck, still only had medium connectivity. It only had 100% really good connectivity when it was sitting right next to my Wi-Fi router, which you're not going to do with a bird feeder. Sticking with the size of the camera module, while that impressive 4,000 milliamp battery sounds like a lot, especially if you have a smartphone, well, guess what? Your smartphone, you're charging every day or charging every other day. Even though this can go to sleep and hibernate itself when it's not in use, the battery life of this, I was lucky if I would get 5 days worth of usage before I would have to bring it in and charge. And I've done 2 different tests where I would not plug it in, have it in the feeder, and see how long it would last. Several occasions, I only had 5 days as being the max. 3.5 was about my average. Once I attached it to the solar panel, I got extended period of usage, but it also depends on the time of year. Like right now, I'm getting closer to my summer months here, and I've had this up and plugged in to the solar panel for about a month now, and it's been okay based on my bird's traffic to this. So that's why I said earlier in the review, solar panel is almost necessary for this. I also found that larger birds tend to have an issue with this and avoid it, at least in my area, because they take up a lot of space. They don't really hang off the sides. They can't park themselves here. If they get into it, they jump right in and sit in the food. Now, that's not to say that BirdBuddy conveniently sells an accessory that you can attach here to make it more accessible for larger birds, but you might not want to do that. Notifications that you get from this, because it's got that 2-step verification system with motion and the trigger, if you've got a small bird that sits in the food, it won't be picked up by the laser. Or if they pop in and pop out really quickly, again, you might not get a notification for that. And the notifications can take time to send from here to your smartphone. I've ended up with a day where I had 6 or 7 different notifications or postcards, but they all came in at once, even though I clearly saw a bird sitting on here. If you get the solar panel, I want to tell you that depending on how you have it situated, you're going to get not as good of pictures, because if you're trying to get sun for the solar panel, it goes contrary to the setup process for the camera module itself to get the best pictures. So I kind of wish, again, that it was a double-sided, so you'd have a little more versatility with that. Another thing that I wish was a little better was the video that you got from this. Not the clarity, but the, hey, here's actually where the bird is. Instead, you get a lot of buffer, and then maybe it flies off really quickly. I cut them down, so you didn't see all that in this video, but I kind of wish that if you've got an AI engine in here to tell me what birds they are, figure out where the bird is in the video and chop the video down. That is all the stuff based on my own personal experiences with the not so great with the BirdBuddy. I'm not going to get into, because if you're doing research on this, you've probably seen people complaining about actual delivery of the BirdBuddy. I can't speak to that. I did do early backing on Kickstarter, which this is the first product that I did early backing on Kickstarter for, and it was delayed and delayed. And it did eventually show up, but it does sound like there's a lot of people who are having difficulties getting one of these, even if they were an early backer. So I can't exactly speak to that, but the downsides of this bird feeder are things that I have personally experienced, so that's what I'm sharing with you, not hearsay and rumor that you might have seen on a forum somewhere. It's not to say that this is not a good device. You just need to know what you're getting ahead of time. That's why I'm doing this, so you can know what to expect if you choose to get the BirdBuddy. It was one of the first smart bird feeders out there, and they are trying to increase the different things that they're offering. You had your standard BirdBuddy, now they're offering a hummingbird buddy, but realistically, it's the same camera module, just in a different housing. There is a lot of room for improvement with this. However, I feel that a lot of it can be software based, so if they fix those problems with the module itself, that could improve this greatly. If I were to do this again, would I get the BirdBuddy? Or a regular bird feeder or one of the other smart bird feeders, I probably would get the Bird Buddy again. Only because there are other smart bird feeders out there, but they don't have the AI smarts that this does. They're just something that you can mount a security camera into, and yes, you could see a live feed and get notifications and clips of what bird might have landed, and you could watch them, but you might not know what it is, and it won't identify it. The Bird Buddy will. And because of that, I would get this again if given the opportunity. Hopefully, they fix whatever supply chain issues seem to be the cause of their delays currently, at least at time of filming. But if you're looking for a smart bird feeder, I can recommend the Bird Buddy Smart Bird Feeder. I have been Wanderer 001. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them in the area below. And as always, thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, consider giving it a like, as that will help other people find the video as well. If you like what I'm doing here, you can always help fuel the next review by buying me a coffee, link in the description below. Last but not least, if you want to be notified when I upload a new video, you know what to do.